Hey there, famed detectives. Ever wonder how much money your favorite old Hollywood stars were really making while they were busy creating movie magic? Grab your vintage magnifying glass because we're about to crack open some serious financial mysteries from Tinseltown's golden age. You think modern celebrities are rolling in dough? Wait until you hear about these classic stars who were making millions before talking pictures were even a thing. We're diving deep into Hollywood's first millionaires, from a comedian who earned the equivalent of $19 million a year in 1916. Yes, you read that right. To a mysterious Swedish beauty who turned her famous line, "I want to be alone," into a $40 million fortune. Ready to discover how these screen legends turned studio contracts into gold mines? From private islands to secret real estate empires, these 10 stars weren't just acting rich. They were building dynasties that would make today's influencers blush. Hit that subscribe button and let Behind the Fame take you on a journey through Hollywood's most impressive bank accounts. Trust me, darling, these financial secrets are juicier than any on-screen drama. 1. Charlie Chaplin. You know, of course, that comedy can turn into gold, and this is our proof of it. Can you imagine someone making $670,000 a year in 1916? That's equivalent to a mind-blowing $19 million today. Let's discover how Charlie Chaplin became one of Hollywood's earliest millionaires. Think back to the streets of London, where a young boy grew up in extreme poverty. Just like many struggling dreamers of his time, his journey started on small theater stages, where his talent caught attention. Through his brother Sidney's connection, Chaplin joined Fred Karno's comedy crew, touring across North America, a turning point that would change entertainment history forever. But here's what's truly astonishing. Chaplin knew his worth from day one. When Keystone Studios wouldn't pay up in 1914, he boldly jumped ship to S&A Film with a $10,000 signing bonus and $1,250 weekly paycheck. The real shocker? By 1916, at just 26 years old, he secured that legendary $670,000 yearly contract with Mutual. From Easy Street to The Immigrant, every film became a hit. What's fascinating is how he managed his wealth. Unlike many stars, Chaplin was incredibly business savvy. He negotiated deals that gave him full ownership of his films for 7 years, unheard of at the time. He wasn't just acting, he was building an empire, directing his own films, and creating timeless masterpieces like The Kid and A Woman of Paris. His pioneering approach to both artistry and business made him one of the industry's first truly independent actors. Can you believe this London theater boy became one of old Hollywood's wealthiest figures? But hold tight, because coming up next is another star whose path to fortune will leave you speechless. 2. Mary Pickford, 1892-1979. You know, of course, that some stars shine brighter than others, and that's exactly what happened with Mary Pickford. Would you believe that she was making $10,000 a week back in 1917? That's absolutely incredible. We're talking about millions in today's money. Let's dive into the story of America's sweetheart, who became one of Hollywood's smartest businesswomen. Picture a young girl from Toronto, just like many dreamers chasing the spotlight. Mary started acting at age 5, traveling with her family in theater groups. Can you imagine supporting your entire family before you're even a teenager? That's exactly what little Mary did, driven by necessity and equipped with remarkable talent. But here's what's truly mind-blowing. By the 1920s, Pickford wasn't just the highest-paid actress in Hollywood. She was a pioneering businesswoman. You won't believe this, but she co-founded United Artists in 1919 with Charlie Chaplin, D.W. Griffith, and her future husband, Douglas Fairbanks. That's like owning your own movie studio when most actresses were just happy to get roles. The fascinating part is how she managed her empire. Not only did she earn $1 million a year, an astronomical sum for the 1920s, but she also owned the rights to her films, a revolutionary concept at the time. Smart investments in real estate and maintaining control of her image, meant her fortune grew to an estimated $130 million in today's money. Looking at Pickford's incredible journey from child actor to Hollywood mogul, it's no wonder she was called the Bank of America's sweetheart. But wait until you hear about our next star, whose path to fortune was equally remarkable. 3. John Wayne, 1907-1979. Hey folks, you won't believe this, but did you know our tough-talking cowboy was actually swimming in more gold than the bandits he chased on screen? That's right, John Wayne, the man who made saying pilgrim cooler than a rattlesnake in an icebox, wasn't just rich in one-liners, he was loaded with actual dollars. Picture this. Before he became the gunslinging hero we all know and love, young Marion, yes, that was his real name, try not to laugh, Morrison was just a football player at USC who worked as a prop boy in the studios. Talk about a career change. From moving other people's props to becoming Hollywood's most profitable prop master of Western gear. But hold on to your horses, because here's where it gets wild. By the 1950s, Wayne wasn't just acting in Westerns. He was practically owning the whole frontier. The Duke, much better than Marion, right, was making a whopping $666,000 per movie, plus a percentage of the profits. And get this, he was so business savvy that he turned his tough guy image into an empire, including everything from production companies to real estate investments. Heck, he even owned a marina and a wild animal park. Want to know something really crazy about the Duke's finances? This cowboy was smarter than a cactus in a rainstorm when it came to investments. He owned properties across Arizona and California, had major stakes in several production companies, and even made a fortune from Mexican film distributors. Not bad for a guy who spent most of his career pretending to ride horses and shoot bad guys, huh? Just like his famous on-screen swagger, Wayne's path to wealth was bold and impressive, eventually amassing what would be worth over $50 million in today's money. But partner, if you think that's impressive, wait till you hear about our next Hollywood legend. 4. Mae West, 1893-1980. Hey darlings, you won't believe this, but when Mae West said, "I generally avoid temptation unless I can't resist it," she wasn't just talking about men, she was talking about money too. Would you believe this sultry star was earning a jaw-dropping $400,000 per movie in the 1930s? That's right, sugar. She was making more than the president. Imagine a Brooklyn girl who turned controversy into cash faster than she could wink at a gentleman caller. Starting in vaudeville at age 14, Mae wasn't just pushing boundaries, she was demolishing them. And honey, those early days weren't just about singing and dancing. She was writing her own scandalous plays that got her arrested for corrupting the morals of youth. Wink, wink. But hold on to your pearls, because here's where it gets spicy. By the 1930s, Mae wasn't just breaking box office records. She was breaking all the rules. You wouldn't believe this, but our clever girl wrote most of her own risque dialogue and owned the rights to her scripts. Every time she purred, "Come up and see me sometime," the money just kept rolling in. She even saved Paramount Pictures from bankruptcy during the Depression with her sultry hits. Here's the juiciest part. Mae was as clever with her money as she was with her men, and there were plenty of those, darling. She invested in Los Angeles real estate, owned an apartment building she called her Manor, and kept a collection of diamonds that would make a queen blush. Unlike her characters who loved men's attention, Mae really loved her independence and built a fortune worth about $50 million in today's money. Speaking of impressive figures, and Mae had those too, wait until you hear about our next Hollywood legend's path to fortune. Number 5. Clark Gable, 1901-1960. Ladies and gentlemen, want to know who made women swoon and bankers smile at the same time? Hold on to your hearts, because Clark Gable, the king of Hollywood, wasn't just stealing scenes. He was making it rain with a jaw-dropping salary of $7,500 per week in the 1930s. That's right, darlings. Rhett Butler really didn't give a damn about money because he had plenty of it. Picture this heartthrob starting out as a tire factory worker. Can you imagine those hands changing tires? Before becoming Hollywood's most wanted bachelor, our young Clark was actually, wait for it, a stage door Don Juan, catching the eye of an older theater manager who helped fund his acting lessons. Talk about knowing how to charm your way to the top. But here's the scandalous part that'll make your mustache curl. By 1932, MGM wasn't just paying him big bucks. They were paying his divorce settlements too. Oh yes, honey. The studio shelled out $286,000 to his second wife, just to keep their leading man's reputation squeaky clean. And after Gone with the Wind? Frankly, my dears, Gable was demanding $7,500 per week, plus a percentage of profits, making him the highest paid actor in Hollywood. Want to know something deliciously interesting about the king's finances? Unlike his extravagant on-screen persona, Gable was actually quite savvy with his millions. He owned a ranch in Encino, collected fancy cars. Just like his expensive wives, he had 5 of them, and invested in various business ventures. When he wasn't making ladies faint on screen, he was making his bank account grow. Just like his famous charm could open any door in Hollywood, Gable's path to wealth was as smooth as his legendary mustache, eventually building a fortune worth over $100 million in today's money. But darlings, if you think that's impressive, wait until you hear about our next silver screen legend. 6. Elizabeth Taylor, 1932-2011. Darlings, want to hear about Hollywood's ultimate queen of diamonds and dollars? Grab your jewels, because Elizabeth Taylor wasn't just famous for those violet eyes. She was the first actress to command a mind-blowing $1 million per picture. That's right. When it came to making money, Cleopatra wasn't just a role, it was her business strategy. Think about this. Our gorgeous Liz started as a child star at MGM, but unlike other child actors, she wasn't playing around when it came to her worth. Can you believe this glamour girl was already turning heads and turning profits before she could drive? But honey, that was just the rehearsal for her greatest role, becoming a billion-dollar business icon. But here's what's absolutely scandalous. When 20th Century Fox came begging for their Cleopatra, Liz didn't just negotiate a salary, she demanded the crown jewels of all contracts. You won't believe this, but she walked away with $1 million, plus a percentage of profits, her own personal hairdresser, and enough perks to nearly bankrupt the studio. Talk about knowing your worth. Now, let's dish about her real genius. It wasn't just her 8 marriages that kept her busy, though, darling, those certainly made headlines. Taylor built an empire with her perfume business, launched groundbreaking charity work, and amassed a jewelry collection that would make the Tower of London blush. We're talking about a fortune between $600 million to $1 billion. Her fragrance empire alone brought in $69 million a year. Now that's what I call smelling like success. Speaking of unforgettable legacies and incredible fortunes, wait until you hear about our next legendary star's path to riches. Because darling, in old Hollywood, the only thing bigger than the diamonds were the bank accounts. Think these Hollywood stories are shocking? We're just getting started. Hit that subscribe button and join our Behind the Fame family, where we expose the real stories Hollywood doesn't want you to know. Your daily dose of truth begins with one click. 7. Bing Crosby, 1903, 1977. Hey folks, you know what's more impressive than hitting high notes? Hitting the jackpot. Let's talk about Bing Crosby, who wasn't just dreaming of a white Christmas. He was dreaming up ways to become one of Hollywood's richest entertainers. Would you believe this smooth-talking crooner was worth an estimated $150 million back in the day? That's music to anyone's ears. Picture this, a young guy from Tacoma, Washington, drumming and singing in college bands, probably giving his parents heart attacks about his career choice. But unlike your typical struggling artist, our boy Bing had a head for business that was as sharp as his famous baritone voice. Talk about singing all the way to the bank. But hold on to your headphones, because here's where it gets wild. By the 1940s, Bing wasn't just crushing it in the music world. He was revolutionizing the entire entertainment industry. Get this, he was the genius who figured out how to pre-record radio shows. Bet you didn't see that coming. This clever cat didn't just sing about timing. He mastered it in business too, becoming one of the first entertainers to own his own recordings. Want to know something really crazy about Der Bingle's finances? This crooner was smarter than a fox in a henhouse. He invested in everything from the Pittsburgh Pirates baseball team to orange groves in California, and even pioneered commercial videotape recording. Talk about hitting a high note in investments. Plus, he was making a cool $1 million a year just from radio work. And that's before we even talk about his movie earnings. Just like his smooth vocals, Bing's path to wealth was perfectly orchestrated, including savvy investments in oil, real estate, and technology. But folks, if you think that's impressive, wait till you hear about our next Hollywood legend who turned stardom into solid gold. 8. Greta Garbo, 1905-1990. Darlings, you know what's more mysterious than a Hollywood ending? Let me tell you about Greta Garbo, the Swedish Sphinx who turned silence into solid gold. Want to know something incredible? This enigmatic beauty was commanding $270,000 per movie in 1928. That's right, honey. While others were barely talking in silent films, she was making bank. Picture this, a humble Swedish girl, born Greta Gustafsson, working in a department store and dreaming of something bigger, just like many of us window shopping for a better life. But fate had other plans when director Eric Petcher spotted her. And darling, that's when this Cinderella story got its European twist. But here's what's absolutely mind-blowing. By age 20, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer wasn't just offering her contracts, they were practically throwing money at her. You won't believe this, but our mysterious maven turned her famous line, "I want to be alone," into "I want to be a millionaire," accumulating over $3 million before saying "darling" to Hollywood retirement in 1941. That's a whopping $40 million in today's money. Now let's spill the tea about her real genius. Garbo wasn't just acting mysterious. She was mysteriously brilliant with money. While other stars were flashing their wealth, our Swedish sensation was quietly investing in stocks, bonds, and art masterpieces. Her New York apartment housed works from Renoir and other masters, later selling for a jaw-dropping $19 million. Just like her famous enigmatic smile, Garbo's path to wealth was beautifully subtle, choosing privacy over publicity and wise investments over wild spending. But sweeties, if you think that's fascinating, wait until you hear about our next star's financial secrets. 9. Fred Astaire, 1899-1987. Hey folks, want to know who was dancing all the way to the bank? Fred Astaire wasn't just tapping those incredible feet. He was tapping into a fortune that would make even Daddy Warbucks jealous. Would you believe this dancing dynamo was making $100,000 per picture at his peak? That's right. Every perfect step was worth its weight in gold. Picture this, a young vaudeville performer starting out at age 5 with his sister Adele, hoofing it across stages like many showbiz kids. But unlike other performers who just danced for applause, our Fred had his eyes on a different kind of choreography, the art of making money move. And boy, did he master that routine. But hold on to your top hats, because here's where it gets amazing. By the 1930s, Fred wasn't just dancing with Ginger Rogers. He was waltzing right into some seriously smart business deals. You won't believe this, but our dancing master negotiated complete control over how his dance numbers were filmed, unprecedented at the time, owned percentages of his films, and even had approval over his dance partners. Talk about leading the dance. Want to know something fancy about Fred's finances? This sophisticated stepper was as elegant with his investments as he was on the dance floor. He diversified into California racehorses, real estate, and even had a chain of dance studios. Every time you saw him glide across the screen, his bank account was doing the same smooth moves. Just like his perfect timing in dance, Astaire's path to wealth was beautifully choreographed, leading to a fortune worth millions. But folks, if you think his financial footwork was impressive, wait until you see our next star's steps to success. 10. Marlin Brando, 1924-2004. Hey folks, want to hear about Hollywood's biggest rebel who also happened to be one of its smartest negotiators? Hold on to your offers because Marlin Brando didn't just refuse them, he rewrote them. Would you believe this method-acting maverick scored a mind-blowing $1 million plus 11.3% of profits for Superman in 1978? That's right, for just 12 days of work. Even The Godfather couldn't refuse that deal. Imagine a wild child from Nebraska, kicked out of military school. Oh yes, darling. Who stumbled into acting because, well, what else do you do with all that bottled-up rebellion? But unlike other angry young actors, our Marlin wasn't just breaking dramatic ground. He was breaking the bank. Talk about making mumbling profitable. But here's where it gets absolutely scandalous. By the time he made The Godfather, Brando wasn't just demanding top dollar. He was revolutionizing how stars got paid. You won't believe this, but for just 3 weeks of work, he negotiated $250,000 plus profits that turned into millions. Not bad for a guy who needed cue cards to remember his lines, huh? Let's dish about his real genius. While everyone was focusing on his eccentric behavior and mysterious persona, Brando was quietly building an empire. He owned a private island in Tahiti, talk about a getaway, invested in real estate, and even made millions from his image rights. When he wasn't busy buying islands, he was collecting paychecks that would make a studio executive weep. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey through old Hollywood's richest vaults. Can you believe the fortunes these legends built before Instagram and brand deals were even a thing? From Charlie Chaplin's $1 million deals to Elizabeth Taylor's $1 billion empire, they proved that true star power means serious money power. If you've enjoyed uncovering these golden age secrets with us, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join the Behind the Fame family. We're always digging up fascinating stories about Hollywood's most intriguing legends. Want more historical Hollywood mysteries? Hit that notification bell because next week, we're revealing the scandalous stories behind old Hollywood's most explosive feuds and friendships. Trust me, darling, you won't want to miss it. Until next time, keep chasing those Hollywood dreams. And remember, sometimes the best stories are the ones behind the fame.